It's the Great Northern Sex Cast. Colleen Bertino, episode 37.
Oh, that's a nice age. I liked 37.
37 was a good year. 38 was my looking back so far. But I'm hoping that 50 really, in a year or 2 years when I become 50, that it's my new 38.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
50 rocks.
And if not, I'll just go buy a 38 gun and shoot it at fun targets. Tara, you're here.
Hey, how's it going?
And Kelly Guest. And oh my goodness gracious, Agnes me. We have someone in the studio that I must say, Colleen, I have to preface this. When you guys tossed this idea of bringing this fabulous person into the studio, I have never had so much trouble researching anybody in my life because I didn't know where to start or stop. Kim Ayers, welcome.
That would be me. And like what a lot of people say, your reputation precedes you. And I'm like,
on purpose. On purpose.
And they end up smiling after they say that. So that's always a good place to start.
Oh my God. Well, welcome to the room. We always do a little bit of catch up on what's going on. Obviously, the Great Northern Sex Cast is born, bred, and raised by Fantasy Gifts. We started broadcasting from the warehouse.
Yep.
And so what's going on at Fantasy Gifts this week, you guys?
We got a palette of new stuff. I don't know what it is. So I'll be looking forward to
You mean
that.
because you haven't opened it or you ordered stuff and you have to learn what it is?
Well, Tara ordered it. I haven't looked at it yet, which is surprising because generally when something comes into the office, and I'm sure you were this way too, that I'm like, what the hell's in the box? Like sex toy Christmas is what I'm looking for.
Nice.
Well, we've just been going through stuff, getting organized. We're going to do a total remodel of our crystal store coming up in October.
You love that.
So it's one of my most favorite things.
You do.
Yeah, I realize that it's so big that I'm actually going to have to shut down the store for 2 days.
Oh.
And I don't like shutting down the store for 2 days, but if you're going to do something, yeah, I want to do it right. I'm not going to screw this up.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we've pretty much been trying to figure out that. We're all trying to figure out when we get to the when we're going to go to the state fair.
Okay.
State fair. See, I'm lots of other companies, take time off for this. I really go have a corn dog. I am very fond of the state fair. I encourage this highly.
Is the corn dog your favorite?
Actually, I like the corn dog more over the Pronto Pup.
Okay.
But really, the best part is the costume llama contest. Yeah, you didn't know I was going to go.
You live for this. You live for this because this is not the first mention.
I know.
When does this occur?
Wednesday. There's only one Wednesday of the state fair.
Okay.
It's at 6:00. I think there might be an open llama contest for non-4-H. Like if you just happen to own a llama and you want to dress it up, I think you can do that.
Non-registered llamas, undocumented llama owners?
Probably.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we just been focused on that. And then of course we had Kim come into the office this week, which has been spectacular because she's got, she can tell you why she's here, but she's also going out to the stores and doing mini seminars for our employees.
Okay.
So that they're better to help all the folks out there.
Okay. So let's just connect the dots for people because here on the Great Northern Sex Cast, we rotate Fantasy Gifts crew in here, which is I think one of my favorite aspects of the show. We never know who's going to show up every week. And Tara Langdon is here. And you are what's your title again, Tara? Tell everybody what you do.
I buy all the toys. Toy buyer.
Sucks to be you.
It's not a bad job.
So, and how does Fantasy Gifts know Kim Ayers?
I actually just met Kim at a show in July. And she has been with Topco for a while, but I had a different sales rep. And she just became my rep in July. And I was talking to her. And I was like, gosh, I've heard this name before. And she was telling me about all these toy reviews that she's done and how she writes blogs and stuff. And I'm like, I guarantee I've read your stuff online. Because when I look things up and look for like product reviews, a lot of them are hers.
Yep.
So I was super, super excited that she's our new sales rep for Topco.
My favorite one, Kim, the one I read was the one for Mask.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Okay, tell the story.
I am flipping through one of XBiz or something like that, and you wrote a blog about and a thing about this product called Mask, which we do sell on and off. It's but it's a product used to mask the taste of semen. And,
really?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Once again, you guys hit me with something that I have not heard of. Are you the look on Kim's face? Okay, so
what a great intro, huh?
How do you cover up spoo taste, Kim?
Yeah, well, I find the whole topic hard to swallow. And okay, exactly. All right, so okay, I review toys for XBiz, which is one of the major adult reporting sites, and it's xbiz.com, and they have 3 different publications and things like that. So it's a very, very popular periodical in the industry because, yes, we have those, and we do have trade shows like Tara just mentioned. It's the Adult Novelty Manufacturers Expo, and it's trade only because the public would love to be in something like that, but it is industry only. So it's in Burbank, California, twice a year. And then just to a little sideline is the consumer show that everybody knows is the AEE, which is the Adult Entertainment Expo in January in Las Vegas. And that's been going on, about more than 20 years at this point. So anyway, so the mask sexual flavors, what they are is it's like a breath strip, the Listerine breath strips that you put on, it dissolves in your mouth. Well, this one, as Colleen said, it masks the taste of semen. So
Colleen's looking at me like, yep.
Yep. Okay. So first of all, I'm the biggest skeptic on things that make claims. Guaranteed orgasm, the best orgasm you'll ever have. You'll ejaculate 20 times more. It gets bigger, thicker, faster, wider. It's like, no. Okay. So first of all, that prefaces it. So I saw this and I'm like, there's no way this can work. So I was actually part of a little panel, and that I actually told the owner or the sales guy, I'm like, I don't understand how this works. What it does is it masks the proteins in it, and it basically nullifies them for taste. And I'm like, so if it does that, you could give it to your kid before they eat broccoli at dinner, right?
Oh, God.
So I didn't, but anyway, actually, I did kind of test it like that. If it hid the taste of turkey. And it doesn't, so that's good to know. And so I review these products, like I said, for XBiz. So I get a box every month that's got 4 toys, anything from 3 to 5 toys in it. And I open it up, and it's got this packet of mask in it. And I'm like, oh, now I have to review this. And I know what that means. So it got me thinking, what's the big deal about this? About the taste? What is it? So what I did in part of my research is I asked 5 straight guy friends and 5 gay guy friends.
Oh.
All right?
Okay.
And I said, have you ever tasted your own? And the results were astonishing. All of the straight guys, so those 5 straight guys, said, no, that's so gay. They all said that. And these are like, pretty cool people and stuff like this. They all said, no, that's so gay. I asked all the gay guys and they were like, yeah, why? And I'm like, so when the straight guys said, that's so gay, I'm like, so this is a girl's job? And they looked at me like, yeah, why? And it's like, what's up with that? So that was like kind of a curious part of the research. And then I had to call up my friend, Adam, and say, hey, I'm doing product testing. This is what you have to do. You want to come? He's like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be spectacular. Yeah, because people will bring stuff home. And and occasionally I'll get a subtle, like, yeah, that product works. But everyone's real sort of casual about it in the office, but they'll say, nah, I like this lube or I like that lube. We don't go into details, but people bring stuff home.
Right. And being the reporter, I had to report on every detail.
Well, of course you did. I mean,
so there's more
we're laughing, but no, I mean, you have to, right? Okay. So, and by the way, Sex and the City episode, Funky Spunk, anyone? Did you all see it?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, Samantha makes a guy taste his own, and it's hysterical.
It's really funny, though, when you ask a guy that or you're with them, and then there's the technique called snowballing, which is when a woman accepts it in her mouth and then kisses the guy and kind of like exchanges it. Oh. Okay, first of all, this is a thing I totally love about the whole sex world. Completely. I am so infatuated with it. It's amazing. For everything that's a total turn on for somebody, it's a total gross out for somebody else. You can go down the entire list of everything, and you'll find people like, yeah, I kind of like that. To people like, that that's so gross. And snowballing is like a perfect example of that, because there's some guys that are like, well, yeah, it's kind of hot, and then some guys are like, no way. And I think that goes back to the, no, I don't want to taste my own bodily fluid, and it's just so funny. And then it's like, okay, so a girl could like use her fingers and then put her fingers in her mouth, and that's like a turn on. And they're like, yeah. It's like, why is that different?
I'm sensing a golden rule moment here. Do unto others as you have done to you.
I'll tell you, the best guys I'm with are the ones that are open to experimentation. I like to say I'm trisexual. I'll try anything sexual.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah, it seems to be a reasonable expectation if you're going to review the toys, because it is like sex toy Christmas, right? You don't know what's going to be in that box.
You don't, and you kind of look at things like, this might work, by looking at the shape, what it does, and things like this. And also like how technologically advanced it is. One of my big complaints is, which is a big way the industry is going, and more on that in a moment. So it's if something's technologically advanced, I want it easy to use when I'm using it for pleasure. I don't want to have a PhD or have to look at the user's manual to go, oh, wait a minute.
There's nothing more of a mood kill than directions.
And this is different because you, one of the things that you've done is, I know that you owned a brick and mortar store. You did. And so you know what it's like to look through, dozens and hundreds of items and go, I like this one, but I don't like the way that turns on and off.
Right.
Something is, and if that's just something where you put 2 AA batteries in it.
Exactly.
And now you're looking at an app.
Right, and now you have to look at an app for a lot of things, and so your partner can control it from 3,000 miles away. It's like, yeah, well, maybe that's what like FaceTime and masturbation's made for. Thank you. I don't want you to be controlling my. So yeah, but it's just that's where a lot of it's going. A lot of it, a younger demographic, they're app focused, all things like that. So it's kind of interesting to see that transition from as you've been in the business a long time, that Ivory 2C battery hard plastic vibrator, which still sells.
It does.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Yes, and it's not really used for your neck.
Yeah, right.
Those old ads. I remember the old pictures and stuff like that.
And you notice she only had one hand in the picture because the other one was getting busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always a great smile. Woo!
That's it. It's so funny. Just the whole transition of the industry is amazing. Like Colleen said, I had my own store, and the name of it is really great. Grand opening.
Never will see that term written in print again and look at it.
People would be like, you still have your signs up. I'm like, that's the name of the store. Like I'm doing this spreading thing, and they're like, oh.
I know what you're doing with that, because you started off small and then got big. And that's how Fantasy Gift started. My dad started with a tiny store. And then people started asking for things, I bet, didn't they?
Isn't that something? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, but I'll get it.
Expand the store and more and customer, all things like that, And speaking of customers, this is something that I do a lot in my trainings, because I think it's really important for a lot of women that work at sex toy stores. There's this assumption that they want to have sex with you. Oh. And I talk to women all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. You get hit on by guys because you're comfortable around sexuality and you're willing to talk about it with complete strangers, AKA customers. Okay. So a lot of times you get hit on by guys, but I actually have a really big boundary is I don't have sex with customers. You know why? Because the customer always comes first.
Oh. No, okay, Kim, I got to get you to back up just a little bit, because so you started, was your full on entree into this industry, was it when you opened your store? I would like you to sort of tell us your story.
Well, I can actually relate to a lot of people that I talk to, and I talk to men and women constantly about sex because I find it so amazing, as I said. And what happened was I was married 7.5 years. Nice marriage, fun while it lasted. He was really kind of straight and normal, and I put that in quotes and things like this. And he did not want to do any kind of sexual experimentation. And me, since day one, I've been like, oh, what's this all about, and stuff. And just have really had an undying curiosity around sexuality that I think comes from a higher power. It really does. I really think a lot of the work that I do is higher power, just to make sex okay. Because there's a lot of women that don't think it is, and there's a lot of guys that don't think it is, and that's a whole nother conversation podcast.
For sure. Yeah.
So we got divorced, and then I met this guy that I call him the Smut Hound.
That's a darling nickname.
everything. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. And it's not that I couldn't have found it out on my own, but I just had the support, which was really nice, So it was like, going to strip stores. I mean, it's like I could just go down the list, kind of everything you could imagine, experimentation wise. It was like instead of the 12 days of Christmas, it was this 12 sex toys of Christmas on Christmas morning.
Oh my
like
gosh.
all loaded with batteries while I'm on the bed. Like, here's another one. And I'm like, yes, and I mean things like that. It was just so much fun. And so I'm like, I was living in Boston at the time, and I'm like, I love this stuff. Now, where do I go get it? Now, this was 1987.
Okay.
So it predated the internet. So the only places to get things were crappy little porno stores that I'd walk in, and it would be like, and I've always been comfortable in porn stores. So I'd walk in and it would be like this. And so at that time, I actually had a great career at Harvard University. Yes, that Harvard.
I love that. That is so brilliant.
Yeah. So my coworkers realized that I was really comfortable around porno and sex toys and things like this. So they'd be like, can you take me to buy a sex toy? And I'm like, sure. So we'd go to the combat zone and they'd be really nervous and stuff. And I'd go in and they'd have them on the wall. And I'm like, okay, this is the difference between these, which is basically what I'm doing still nowadays and totally loving it. And so it would be like, okay, so this is a hard plastic one. And they'd be like, just get one and let's get out of here. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, you got to get something that you want. Well, just get, what's your favorite? And I've got a favorite, which probably, years ago, I mean, actually, it is kind of one of my go-to ones. So I'd be like, you sure? You're like, yeah, let's get this. So then I'd go to the counter, and there'd be a guy there with a cigar in his mouth, and he'd be like, is this for the two of you? And this is a visual. I'd go, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd flip him the bird like, it's none of your freaking business, pal. I'm buying this. Give me my change, So we'd do that, and we'd go out of the store. And this happened constantly with my coworkers and friends and things. And I'm like, you know what? I got to change this. I grew up on top of my father's furniture store. My two sisters are in retail. One's at Bergdorf Goodman. The other one's a district manager for eyewear company. It's like my grandfather was a troubleshooter for Montgomery Wards during the Depression.
Oh, wow.
It's we bleed retail.
blood. Oh, yeah.
So this was the thing. It was not a scary proposition to me to be like, you know what, I'm going to open up a store. So
back up one second, because I can't stand it. What did you do at Harvard?
Oh, I did secretarial and research work. I worked for the Office of the Governing Boards, which is like the Board of Trustees.
Yep.
And I worked for a professor that was on the board, on the corporation, which is like the board of the like head cheese people there. There's like, I think 7 or 10 of them on it. So he was on that, but then he was also in the economics department at Harvard.
Okay.
So it was a split job between the two offices, and it was confidential and high ranking and just like a step away from the president's office. And so it was a pretty tight job. I loved my job at Harvard. And my boss, I love him. He's 88 now. Aww. I know, and we're still really sweet friends, and he's just great. I'm right in the middle age of his 2 daughters. So we've had this really great relationship that's extremely respectful of each other, and I don't even want to say like father-daughter, but in a lot of ways it is.
Cool.
And stuff. And so I see him whenever I go to Boston, and he's great.
So was your store right after Harvard?
Well, I like to sing, well, I left my job at Harvard to sell rubber dicks to girls, which is pretty much it,
And what did Harvard think about all of this?
They actually like incredibly supportive.
That's cool.
It was really amazing because, like I said, I had the 2 offices, and for some weird reason, that one day in April, we had a luncheon in one of the places, and then like another luncheon at the other set of office. And these were like 2 totally unrelated offices. It wasn't like, next to each other or anything. Different buildings and everything. I had to cross Harvard Yard to go to different offices. I'd leave for lunch at noon at 1 and show up at the other at 2. That was really convenient and nice and stuff. So the same day, I decided to drop the bomb to both of them. And I told my boss before, And in April, I said, I'm going to be leaving at the end of the summer because that's a really good time to make a shift in academia. So I'm going to leave at the end of the summer, and I'm going to open up a women's sex toy store. And the reactions I got were like, really? I said, yeah, because we really need one. And everybody was really supportive. That's
great.
unbelievable.
Well, it'd been, because you've already been helping folks. You're like, well, yeah, if someone's going to do it, this is the person to do it.
Yeah,
I
and
can see that.
they knew me at that
Yeah.
point. You know, people know me. I mean, I've got like 7 piercings in one ear and 4 in another, and I'm just like kind of out there. And one time there was a guy, the secretary of the university, which is a pretty high-ranking position at Harvard. This really like, if you close your eyes and think, what does a guy at Harvard look like? It would
Okay.
be looking at like this guy.
Got it.
You know, the plaid jacket, the
Yeah,
suede
just like,
elbow patches.
I went right to the elbow patches.
Absolutely. So this guy like this. So he's looking out of the window of his office. And I was running the honorary degree program there. And so I was like giving him a report on something like this. And he turns to me and he says, "You are such a breath of fresh air in this stuffy joint." And I was like, and that kind of took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting something like that. But to hear it from him was just like,
That's cool.
oh, thanks, you know, because I'm just being myself. So that's, I think, has a lot to do with why I've really loved the industry so much and why I opened my store and why I do this to this day.
When you were first starting, because I know it was a small spot, and you're like, okay, what are you going to put in there? Did you just focus on the toys for women? Did you bring in guys' toys later on?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have a finite amount of space here.
Right. And in fact, speaking of finite, it was 250 square feet.
Oh my gosh, that is.
So it was an office room that I started in. And so what I did was I know, I'm
there's
showing
your
a picture
boss.
of my dear boss.
Oh, he's adorable.
I know, he's a sweetie. Love him. So, so what I did was, all right, so I got this idea to do the store, and that's a whole fun, long story. And I was going to wait till my boss retired because, you know, we got along so great job and stuff like that. And my brother, who's always been my sounding board, I said, look, I want to do the store. I'm going to wait till he retires. And my brother said, first of all, if it's such a good idea, somebody's going to beat you to it. Second of all, whose life are we talking about here?
Oh, that's a good point.
And it was just like, you know, and that was a Columbus Day weekend, 92. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to give myself to the end of the summer and I'm going to do as much research as I can. So what I did was I got in touch with the store Good Vibrations. That's what you all know. It opened up in 1977. And it was basically considered the second sex positive store, a clean, well-lighted place to buy sex toys. So the first one being Dale Williams' Eve's Garden in New York City. So I got in touch with Good Vibrations and I said, do you guys have an apprenticeship program? I want to open up a store in Boston. And they said, yes, as a matter of fact, we do.
Wow.
They had just started it because Joni Blank, who's the founder of Good Vibrations, is a really co-op person. You know, she believes in sharing information and everything like this. So they had just started that. So the other people that went through that program, you have any idea?
I don't know the folks that don't.
Babeland.
Babeland.
Yeah. So it's Babeland and me. We were the only two. So I did that in March of 93. So I had a really good idea of inventory and stock and things like this. Plus, like when I did that apprenticeship program, which was 2 weeks long, I did customer service, you know, talking to customers, and I just loved it. And the customers were like, you're so good with this. So that to me was yet another confirmation that this is what I want to do. So then what I did was I came back and I kind of thought, okay, so what's the next step and everything. So it's like with starting any other business. You ask your friends, hey, can I have some money? So that's what I did. And I asked a friend of mine who had actually used to be a bartender in the Combat Zone, which was the red light district of Boston. I asked him and he said, yeah, how much do you need when? So I started with $14,000 to invest in inventory. So it included books, a fine selection of products, and obviously in 250 square feet with maybe like a little like closet size back room, back stock area. Started with $14,000 worth of inventory, and we sold in rented videos. So that was a big part of customers coming out and stuff. And then it was basically, you know, getting the company started. One thing, I sold it in 2005, and about 2004, I think, I grew it to $1.6 million.
Nice.
So, you know, you can do it with a lot of work, and it just had always, you know, turned a profit and everything. So
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the timing. I'm like, 1990. I said, yeah, because I joined the family business in '89 when I graduated college. We were about the same. The same age at that point.
Yep.
And they had 3 stores, and then we, you know, grew it up to the ones that we have.
Exactly.
You know, because we were aware of Good Vibrations, and we were, at that point, and a few other places.
Sure, and that's just the whole thing is because what I'm so fascinated about the industry and especially stores is you can go to like really super nice, beautiful boutique stores, and you can go to like really sleazy, your feet are sticking on the ground things.
Yep.
But they're all open and they're all selling things. So it's a comfort level for the customer that comes in, just like shopping for anything. If you're comfortable with shopping at a clothing store, you'll go to that clothing store again and again.
Did you ever have guys that were actually uncomfortable that your store was so open?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
we would have guys turn around and run away from Fantasy Gifts because they were used to people not being open about it. It was like they were ashamed of what they were buying, and we're like,
Oh, okay.
no,
Don't want anyone to talk to them.
no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is normal voice levels. That's like when I went to the porn stores then and I'd be like, okay, so this is this. I mean, guys would look at you like, who is this? And I'd be talking to the clerk like, hey, and joking around and stuff. Nobody does that in those stores because there is that shame factor.
I would go places and do research, and we go shopping for things, and I'm just talking, and I realized that I couldn't do it because I didn't want to harm another business because I would scare away the customers. There used to be two other traditional bookstores.
Sure.
And I would go look at the stock and see what's going there and friends, and you chat about something with your friend, and the fact that there was a female talking openly about an adult movie terrorized the 6 or 8 guys in this room, and they couldn't get out of the room fast enough.
They really couldn't. And I think fortunately, and I want to say I might have blinders on with this, but I think a lot of that's changed generationally, and
I was
obviously
going
the
to ask
internet
if you
has
guys
a lot to do with
thought
that.
if you'd seen a shift,
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah. There's still that factor out there for sure, and I think a lot of it is more culturally related as opposed to. I don't want to say upbringing because that's culture a lot too, but I think the internet's just really vastly changed things.
Yeah, no, I think we will have men and women shopping together in the DV department of our stores, and it does not terrorize the guys anymore.
Right.
They might step aside because, and then when the other people finish it, but they don't leave the store anymore. They may go browse something else and then go back,
Right.
Because they want their privacy, and I don't have a back room. I don't like the back room concept.
Right.
Never have. And so, sometimes people just want more space. That's fine. But they don't physically, not that, I'm saying a few do here and there, but they don't physically leave anymore.
Right. And that was a thing when I opened grand opening. Like people were like, well, what if there's like weirdos or trench coaters that come in here? And whenever they did, they were like, this doesn't appeal to me, and they'd walk right out.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. 'Cause
Oh.
like Colleen said, we're open about it, just like at Fantasy House. It's like,
And
hey,
that's
welcome, hi.
that's their thing is
Yeah.
oh my God, that's funny.
Right, for sure. So yeah, so I mean, just the whole customer thing. Yesterday, I was at your store, and I actually did a really nice sale
Thank you.
because I really loved customer work, and she was so
my mortgage
great.
thanks you.
That's it. I was like, I love this.
What'd you sell? A bunch of stuff?
Well,
or?
yeah, it was an upsell. She wanted a harness and a dildo and things, and she picked one out, and the straps are really lousy on it. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what it is off the air. So yeah,
yeah.
I mean they're not real stable. So I said, well, the gizmo itself is really good. I said, but these straps are going to like go flopping around all over. They get stretched out. They're not really great. There's this one here that you can put this into, and in fact, I can show you how to do that. And I looked and I said, can I open these? They're like, sure. So then I went and I actually set up the whole rig to show her, and then she needed a bigger ring to accommodate it because the ring that came with it was small, which tends to happen sometimes. And I said, you know what? We need to get a bigger ring. I'm going to buy that ring for you. So I actually bought the ring for her. So and it was like $125 sale. So it was really great. And she was so great. And this is the thing I really, really, really miss my store, the customer part, because it's so fascinating. Like I said, it's really, there's never a dull moment in this business, especially when you're talking to customers. And then a lot of times they'll say to me, oh, you've heard this before. I'm like, yeah, but not from you. So it's new. And it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true, And that's like when I do trainings and things is I say, to the staff, I'm like, people tell you things that they don't even tell their partners. And they're like, yep. And that's amazing to be entrusted with that kind of information.
It really is. Yeah. I'm learning that from these guys every week,
It's so powerful. It really is. And I do a lot of sexuality workshops. that have a whole bunch of different topics. And I do one, sex tips for girls, and I do orgasm workshops and all things like that too. And one thing that I love to say about women is I'm like, think of how strong we are sexually. Think of how sexually strong. We can topple governments.
Yeah.
We can. That's true.
Yeah.
You look at history and just think of that power.
Mm-hmm.
We can sexually topple governments. And if we have that kind of power, that's a hell of a lot of power, if you ask me. So embrace that. Not that I want to go toppling a government, but
For good, not evil, right?
For good. For good. So yeah, I mean, I wish it was for good. It should be, I mean, just the whole sex thing. It should be a good experience, for everybody. It's so amazing.
No, that's what I've liked about being in the stores. And I'm not in them as much anymore because I'm in the office, stuff like that. And a lot of times people ask questions when I'm in the stores. And I said, okay, in general, I can tell you about this. And then I have to go to my clerks because I haven't worked with the product, the individual stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And, I can generally tell you the difference between this silicone toy and this hybrid toy, or I can tell you the difference, in general between this lube and that lube. But sometimes, I haven't taken the item out like my clerks have.
Right.
Or,
Right, exactly.
I get the training, and it's just, and I look at the stuff and I go, oh, I don't know what that is, which is why
Right.
I go tearing into the boxes sometimes and drive them crazy. They're like, we're not ready to get to that yet, but I want to know what's in there.
Colleen, just real quick, this just kind of reminded me of, I'm not sure at what point in time you decided to do this. I mean, I know that you obviously came into the family business 1989, and you really believe in it. And that's one of the reasons why we do the podcast. But what made you decide to start doing the commercials and really put a face on Fantasy Gifts?
I realized, many, many places are very proud of local.
Okay.
It's like that. And I realized that a lot of times, and you probably heard this too, is that people came into your store because their friend said it was good to come into the store and they were okay with that. So I could spend a fortune on advertising, which, I have, but I wanted to make it personal. I wanted to make it local because I knew years ago, that there was the internet now. There were places where you could go searching for them, but you don't know who these people are. And since people like local people, they want to know. I mean, I like to know where my money's going. And I assume other people like to know where they're going. And that I'm not, and it still was, so there's that. And then there's the breaking down of stereotypes. Who owns this place? Because people always get it. I mean, it has been years now, and we go someplace, and I get introduced as, oh, by the way, she owns Fantasy, Gifts. So, it's fascinating. And I said, you know what? I'm proud of the store. And let's take it out of, let's take it another step out of the shadows that people put it in and, say, this is it. I mean, I've been arrested for the stores. I might as well go on the radio and on TV and say, hi, this is Colleen. This is my store. This is my family's store. I believe in it.
Exactly.
And it's just fascinating because I'm like, I don't have anything, it's not something to hide.
No, and it's pretty interesting that you bring all these points is you own a business. Mm-hmm. And this is a thing that I've always said is if I had a dress store, you would not be recoiling from me when I introduce myself and put my hand out and say, yes, I own a sex toy store. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. You're selling a product that people want. One thing that was really incredibly cool about grand opening is that I was located in Brookline, Massachusetts, which is almost surrounded by Boston, but it's not part of Boston. It's a separate town. They're very proud of this. And so I opened very discreetly. I didn't do any press releases or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And, just really quietly. And, some people like in the sex community that I started networking with, told their friends, this is when grand opening's opening, that type of thing. And then somebody from the Chamber of Commerce apparently had come in, but didn't identify themselves. And then I made it in the Chamber of Commerce newsletter that said, a sexuality boutique opened in the Arcade building, which is this old building, long story. And we hear it's very nice. And so I read that and I'm like,
but they didn't want to admit to having gone there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, at least they used the word sexuality boutique versus porn store opens.
Right.
Because I've been picketed.
Yeah.
Like I said, almost everyone in my family's been arrested. They just had, I've had people, with horrible pickets outside the store, which is fun because my dad used to go out and take pictures of them and they'd all hide behind their signs. And he's like, if you don't like this, be proud of what you're doing. It was always fun.
Just out of curiosity, were charges dropped?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I never got to the booking part. It was just like that. But my mom's had her picture in the paper out in Jersey. My brother's been. We had to go to court for my brother and stuff like that. They finally got to the point where they realized they were it wasn't going to happen. But my brother. Yeah, it's been fascinating.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it's sex stuff and it's against the law. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so I
And
did
the thing
trainings.
is, that's the thing is that it's not really against the law because a lot of the stuff, and you're probably aware of this too, they have all these ordinances and secondary effects and all that crap. But these were like on-site movie houses in the 70s.
Right.
Compared to you go into a store, you buy something, and you leave. You have to compare apples to apples. Now, I know this, and for the most part, generally the city attorneys and the judges know this, but the city council and nobody else, for the most part, has the guts to say this because someone's standing outside going, pearl clasping and going, think of the children, think of the children. Oh, my God. And so they have to go through all the process, cost everyone a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, so they can say the judge made us let them stay open.
Okay.
Right.
No, they won't.
Right.
No one will do the thing that's constitutionally correct.
Right, because if they support that means they like it.
Okay.
They like it, or they're
So they don't want to publicly come out and say, "Hey, you know what? Everybody needs sex toys." God forbid they do that, because then it's like, "Oh, I bet you have a closet full." Well, yeah, and so does that person with the picket sign out there. Don't kid yourself.
because believe me, there's no way that I could maintain double websites, an office, 9 stores if just the people who said they shopped with us stopped with us.
Right.
And
Good point.
And that's one of the reasons I don't know. Other places, like in New Jersey, everybody wants a newsletter. In Minnesota, I ask, would you like to be informed of things quarterly? And I will get maybe a dozen people still in 2015.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give it another shot. I've got both of the websites up and functioning. I've got a little bit, I'm working on, some maintenance and some stuff, but I've got a plan in my head to see if I can focus on this a little bit more coming up once I've got a couple other projects done. But I think I would love to be found wrong on this. But I think there's still a very big part of Minnesota that does not want to get an email from Fantasy Gifts.
Well, I think a lot of it is, we could go down that Ashley Madison route now, is they don't want their email attached to anything that's sexually related.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they dump their caches in the history of their computer browsing every night after they
So fun.
go to Pornhub.
It's just occurred to me, I'm stating it for the record here, that every time Kim comes to town, and I hope it's at least a few times a year, you're coming in here, period, end of discussion, because there's absolutely no way we're going to cover everything that's out there about it. I couldn't even get it on a page. I'm like, I gave up. I just did. So what I want to know, though, Kim, you can go on kimairs.com, right?
Yep. AIRS.
Yep, .com. And all the different things that you're doing, and click and just, so how did you go from, did this all start when you sold your store? All of these things that have led to this like personality and all these things that you're, okay.
It's been way early.
So how did you get so out there, but out there like in the media and all the things you've done?
Well, I have no shame about what I do. I do public speaking, and I actually have a business speech, which is what's a nice girl like you doing in a business like this. Challenges facing... let's see the title. Challenges facing the creative entrepreneur in non-traditional business. And basically it was a lot of things like what Colleen referenced about the stumbling block in the society saying you can't do this, you can't do that. It came down to my mailing. Like legally the post office cannot open first class mail. Okay. Now again, this was 1993. So this predated internet. I actually had a website starting in 95. So that was like way early on, but I mailed out a newsletter and I mailed out a catalog that I actually did the illustrations for because I do artwork and blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, I was mailing those out first class mail. So once that's sealed up by the mailing house and goes to the post office, it's supposed to get sent out. Oh no, one time somebody at the post office opened it up and said, this is obscene material. We can't let this go out. And then that went on and on between the mailing house, the post office, and the post office supervisor at the mailing house, which the mailing house was so big they actually had in-house one. I said, you illegally opened up something that's my property. So one, and then this is like typical of what something that you'd go through, or I had gone through. I talked to the postal supervisor out of that area, which was Brockton, Massachusetts, which is a big regional processing thing. I spoke to the supervisor and I said, look, this is what's going on. It's first-class mail. It was sealed. Your employee stole from me by opening this up and taking it out because that's not their property. It's addressed to that person like this. And I said like this. And so then he said, all right, we'll send it out. And then you know what he said? My wife and I love your store.
Oh, God, the amount of times I hear that crap.
Oh,
After I'm fighting through
God.
everything. Yeah, it drives me insane.
just-
And
it's
the little
like-
things about probably the same thing too. Finding someone that will take your credit card processing. Finding someone that will insure your store. It's a perfectly legal business, but for some reason, I might as well be nuclear waste.
Exactly. And so this is this speech that I present. And one thing I love to say is, why is a checkered flag good, but a checkered past bad?
Yeah.
I have a checkered flag past. Damn it. I'm proud, but you might be a little upset with it. So that's what I say. So everything, like I said, it's my undying thirst to learn about all this sex stuff and what makes it work for people and histories and just everything fascinates the daylights out of me. And I want to try so much of it. And that's what I do is I try it so I know from experience what things are like, from my own personal experience. I can't say, oh, I tried this and I didn't like it, so you're not going to like it either, which is what so many people do. And then also like in a store, that's what, and I'm sure you guys know this, is that, so a woman will come in and never has owned a vibrator and like, I want the rabbit. And you're like, oh, it's my first one. My girlfriend likes it, as in girlfriend, not girlfriend. And so my girlfriend, and I'm like, well, you've never had anything like this? No, but that's the one I want. And I'm like, you might want to start out a little bit more simply and get your body used to these sensations and things like this. So this is, experience from talking to people about it, of that, and things like that. So
you don't go in. The minute that you get your driver's license, some people do, and go buy yourself some sort of Porsche that goes 180 freaking miles an hour. You want to start out something easy. And we're trying to tell folks when they're buying something, and we talked about this before. First of all, surprises are bad. I mean, that's what I'm trying to. And, and to talk about things, I'm sure, you talk about talking about things, and you just work your way up to something. Because I also don't want to say to someone that just because you can't afford the $300 app silicone, you can it probably work on the space station vibe, that you're not worthy of trying this other item over here. I mean, to have a range of products that that are good and fit people's budgets and their needs.
Right. And one thing that I always say is get what appeals to you visually, because that's your body saying, oh, I like this.
Okay.
And the analogy I always make is it's like a plate of food. If you don't like what it looks like, you're not going to want to eat it. So a friend can be like, oh, come on, that's the really best thing. And you're like, it's your body saying no. So if you look at something and go, that one thread of doubt, don't get that one.
I have to admit that to some extent when we're going through Tara, and I'm sure she could there are phone book sized catalogs and JPEG files and all this sort of files and everything online. I mean, thousands of items. And there are just sometimes where we're like, we have to step back and go, okay, my first reaction to this was, I don't think so, but there are a crap load of other people out there. But if we look at something and go, for the most part, if everyone in the office looks at a packaging or looks at a product, we're like, I think we're probably in the majority. And even though it might vibrate really well or it might have a really good internal mechanism, sometimes there's something about an item that just does not appeal to folks, And sometimes it's all personal.
It's all personal, and it's really unpredictable. That's the thing that amazes me. It's because you don't know.
Kim, you just stumbled on something interesting. When you're a sex toy reviewer, one of the many things that you do, but it's so different than being a food critic, because food critics will go out there and just slam something or laud it, right, without ever giving consideration and calling kind of to your point of the fact that, wait a minute, and so I bet you that is an interesting line that you walk, so to speak, or vibrate when doing your job, huh?
It is, because I don't, when I say something, it's kind of like, well, I own my experiences. So I like this because, or I don't like this because, but I certainly don't speak for all of womankind.
I mean,
and that's when I teach classes, I say that a lot, because I teach sex tips for girls, and I also teach sex tips for guys, which actually those two classes started by guys. Is I'd have guys in my store going, can you come over here? And we had a thing called the guy corner, which was just like a little corner, but they gravitate towards there. And the guys would be like, I'm going down on my girlfriend. I have no idea what I'm doing. And they knew they could ask that without any judgment or anything like that. So I had enough guys ask that I'm like, you know what? I got to have a class on this. So we go over anatomy, just all different skills. They're all tastefully presented. There's nothing graphic or anything like that in it. And it's funny because the guys are like, I feel funny saying this. They're almost like little boys in that class. They're all like, fully engaged, and they want to know everything, because I think maybe a lot of them, it's the first time that a woman's being really upfront about things without, titillating them, as it were, or teasing or anything like this. It's like, okay, so this is the clitoris, and this is where the nerve endings, and this is the side, like go on and things like that. And so they get so engaged with that, and they're really quiet. They don't ask questions and stuff. But I always do anonymous questions in any class I teach, because it gives people a comfort level to ask things. So I'll get questions on that, like all sorts of them, like length or girth. That was one of the best questions I ever got from a guy. And it's like, well, everybody thinks a big, long one is the thing. And I say, well, obviously, not obviously, but the vagina is a certain length. So it can accommodate a certain length. Width, technically we're made to crank out 10-pound babies. So we can handle girth. So in that sense, girth probably wins out over length if you look at that. However, if you insert anally, that's a whole different mechanism, and there's no finite end to it. So technically, that is one way to accommodate something that's longer, but not a lot of women are into that, or not a lot of people are into that. I just don't want to limit it to women, because we all have one of those. And so, so it's kind of things like that. But the questions, I love getting them in the guys' sex class, because it takes a lot for them to admit they don't know something sexually, and they don't like to ask their girlfriends, because then it looks like they don't know about sex, and blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and on. So so it's real interesting. But then conversely, when I teach it to women, they're like, woohoo, let's party. Yeah, when I do a blowjob, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, no, I think, definitely women in the stores have been, 2 or 3 women will come in shopping together, and they'll talk about things. But I don't, in the past, I have not seen groups of guys come in and go shopping.
Totally.
It's just they're going to shop individually. They're going, they're going to ask questions. They're going to do stuff like that.
It's like they don't go to the bathroom together either. Same thing. No. Same idea.
What's up with that?
I know, right?
And it's but it's nice to be able to give the information. I'm sure folks used to come in, like I said, we would put the price tag on the back. One, aesthetically looks better, but that way people could put the item face down. You could get rung off, stuffed in a bag, and that was it. And now even guys will yell across the store, "What about this one?" I mean, it is, they have some knowledge. I mean, you can see the questions just by looking through the back of like Men's Health magazine.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
I mean, the stuff that's back there.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at, I'm like, okay, I keep forgetting to buy the magazine. So I finally got subscriptions to some of these things so I could go to the back third of the magazine and see what toy they're talking about this week.
Yeah.
Because not even the manufacturers know sometime what the writer has grabbed to do. Or
and then all of a sudden you'll see sales spike up, and you're like, okay, where's that?
That's what I said. I said, can someone Google and find out why we're selling this particular item right now?
Exactly. I think that's an excellent segue to our next portion of the show.
Okay, and I'm because there's some stuff here. I need to set the stage for people. One thing I have absolutely no idea what it is, and then something is completely covered and I wasn't supposed to peek. So take it away, Kim.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, Kim is, just so we know this, Kim is a rep for company. You can talk about that. And she was in Talking with Terry yesterday.
Yep. It's Topco Sales. We've been around since 1972.
Oh, my.
We've been around for a long time. And we make a whole lot of things. We are a full-line manufacturer. So we make everything from lubricants to pheromone-enhanced sprays to masturbators for men to lots of vibrators for women to full-size sex dolls to, oh, gosh, what am I leaving out? That's kind of covers all of it.
Yeah,
Just
vibrators,
30 words or less,
Yeah.
But within those categories, there's hundreds. So we make a lot of things, and it's pretty amazing. So the team over in China, which is part of our company too, manufacturing there, developed something that was brought over and that we unleashed at the anime show.
This is the talk of the show.
It's
Okay.
the talk of the show.
And if that's the talk of that show, oh
Yeah.
my God. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is cast your eyes there.
Yeah, we'll take some
Kelly.
pictures here of it later on so that you guys can see what's going on. We'll put
Right.
it on our page.
Where
And
am I looking?
look at the gray bag.
You can look right there in front of you.
right in front of
Okay.
you.
Okay. No, what was really funny is that
Oh my God. What
Yeah.
is- the thing is huge.
yeah.
What
And Topco was one of the first companies that my father started buying from too. They used to make a vibrator display that was the talk of Minneapolis.
No doubt.
Okay, I'm fully feeling this thing up. Oh my. Okay, do I get to see what's under there? I'm afraid.
There is a probably a 12-inch by 18-inch item.
Writhing.
Writhing,
Throbbing.
vibrating,
Get
throbbing.
some video of this. And I'm
Vibrating.
squeezing it. Okay.
moving, pulsating.
There we go.
Oh.
There
Oh.
we go.
And what is it really doing? It's twerking.
Yes. It's yes.
Twerking. Twerk it.
It is
Oh God.
the
This is awesome.
twerking butt.
Oh my God. Wow.
Is that totally amazing or what?
Okay, Tara, I'm going to turn this around, or I'm going to do the whole, because it's heavy. Holy,
It's heavy,
It's
yeah, it
very
weighs like
heavy.
about 16 pounds.
Coleen's closing the curtains, not because she's afraid. It's just for better lighting.
Better lighting,
Oh my
exactly.
God. And this is Kelly.
That's
grabbing
right,
them.
huh?
Yeah. Wow, look at that.
Is that totally amazing? It's a men's masturbation device.
I'm transfixed. I mean, it's like,
It's a game changer. And everybody in the industry will tell you that.
how much does this sell for at retail, guys?
Well, the MSRP is $9.99.
Okay,
So it's So I mean, it's pretty technologically advanced. It has a remote control. It is wired. You do have to plug it in. And what it does is it massages in a circular motion, and it vibrates the inside. And since it's been plugged in for a little while, you'll probably experience the warmth of it
oh my gosh.
on the inside. That's a little.
Oh,
finger
you want me to
condom.
put that? Oh God. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
because
God.
Once
okay.
you experience
All right.
it, you will
Okay.
realize how amazing it is.
Okay. Okay.
So-
This
okay.
is what was going on in the office yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's go here. Okay.
And close your eyes.
Okay.
And just imagine.
Now, I was thinking, I don't have a penis, but this seemed
that
quite
amazing?
interesting to me.
You know what? Guys are never going to leave the house again after
They're
this.
never going to leave the
They're
house.
not. That is like you got, and it's not weird and mechanical. Let's go here. Okay. Wait. Oh, here. Here we go. I can't see what I'm doing.
That's it. A finger
Oh, my
anally.
word. That's
Isn't that amazing?
and it's warm. She's right. It's warm.
warms.
I'm speechless. I mean, honestly, okay, we're laughing and it's like, it feels like I can just imagine. But what I guess I'm saying is I can't believe that they were able to do this with the machine.
Totally. But you know what? It gets even better, everybody.
Oh yeah, there's even more. So
Guess
yeah,
what?
we did film a little bit here, and we'll try and get it on if we can manage to do a few seconds without messing with Facebook.
Absolutely. We don't want to get in trouble.
There's an app for that.
For this?
Yes.
The Twerking Butt app. Free on Google Play and the App Store. Brought to
So what
you
does it do?
by Topco. Funny you should ask. All right. First of all, there's videos that are already on it. We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
There's also music that you can download your own music and start playing it. And then add the twerking mechanism, which will connect via Bluetooth. So connect right there.
Okay.
Now it's connected. And now it's responding
And the mics are picking this up.
to the music.
Yes, it's on a
crazy
wooden
bitch.
TV tray here next to it, and it's bopping around pretty damn good.
It is. And I have my phone on silent, but I think I can probably put it on.
Oh my.
Here we go.
Oh, good Lord. This
So
is.
it will play to the music that
Oh,
you
it
have.
actually. Oh, you mean it?
responds to
Oh
the music.
my gosh.
It's Bluetooth enabled.
A Bluetooth butthole. Who knew? Who knew?
Yes, we were joking about Thunder Buns yesterday. And the best part was, and I forgot to grab one. I don't know if you have any, but there's a little novelty little tush that has a tiny little vibrator in it. I was just putting them on top of people's monitors yesterday.
Okay, why wouldn't
you?
you?
And it occurred to me that you just can't do that in a lot of different businesses.
I love it.
Right?
I love it. So right now it's just doing the massage thing, but then when you hit the twerk button, it will twerk also.
Oh,
Yep.
my Lord. So do these come in different sizes and colors?
Not
or
yet.
Not yet. But
But
I
it
would
will.
imagine that
Yeah.
they'll make
We're
for
working on it right now.
Kardashian-sized and...
Exactly. Because
Right.
that was at Anime, we had a lot of response like, oh, we need one in a brown skin tone, which,
Of
hello.
course, yeah.
Like that. And wider because, man, when I see somebody twerking, I want them to like be having pushing
Yeah.
for the cushion for the pushing there.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're working on that. Okay. And then, like, well, maybe you want to program your own program for it. So we can slide this here and change this here.
It's really fun watching her
And
face
we'll
because,
hit that
I mean, I
there.
was way off. I did not know that it had the app when we were talking before. I just thought it was vibrating. I'd missed that part, so I greatly underestimated, my cost on it and what it would be. But I was just kidding because, the part that got me is that Tara and Kim were talking, and I'm doing other things, and I had to deposit yesterday. I'm getting change, and I'm walking by, and I'm putting change in the safe, and I'm like, 5 minutes later, I'm going, is there a really large faux ass on my conference room table? And I wandered by and I went, well, yes, there is. And they were already gone for lunch. And so it was under its little, and then I'm like, hey, it sounds really good when you smack it. And I'm like, I am in a conference room in the dark smacking a faux ass. But I was curious. What does it feel like? It makes a great sound. It feels
Did you hear
wonderful.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah, it doesn't turn pink though when you keep slapping it.
No.
So
No,
that's the
but
only
it was
thing.
just. I'm like, this was part of my conversation. So I just walked by and I went, yeah, that would be it. That would be a average day at Fantasy Gifts
It
because
is.
we're going to want to know what's going on.
Yeah, people
Exactly.
were wandering by, and I'm like, you guys have to stick your finger in this thing. Everyone needs to see this.
Yes, was my mother in the office that day?
No,
Did
she
you
did
miss?
not
Okay, we
Yeah,
did
but
not.
I'm coming
okay.
back Friday morning. We have to get her in.
So I'm almost afraid to ask what you have in your hand over there, Kim. That looks very, like, technological, something Star Trek-ish.
It's a little bit.
What
It's
is it?
a little bit. It's the VR glasses,
Okay.
which are actually more 3D. So, like I said, on the app,
Yeah.
it does have videos. So we'll go to the 3D one, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
And press play.
What we have here, and I'll take a picture of it too, so that we can post it.
Oh, my gosh.
So this fits in here. And they're actually stereo optic glasses. So when you look at them, there's the two split screens. You slide your phone into it, and then you look. Now, right now, it's not responding to it because I didn't turn on that button. But, oh, no, it is. Okay,
yeah.
so if you look at what you're looking at and put your hand on the twerking butt, you will see that the twerking butt is moving.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hit the twerk button on it, but I could. It responds to the music that's in the video, but we're working on videos that it actually responds
is-
to the action in the video.
And Kim's phone is in, oh, my, that's just,
Isn't this amazing?
I'm yeah.
So
Yep.
it's like an immersive experience. This, and like you said, I wonder how guys are going to leave the house with this.
Honestly, I'm a little intimidated now knowing that this is out here because yes, as items, it's high ticket, obviously, but for what it does, I'm surprised actually now that I've seen all this that it's not more. Quite frankly, I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, because it is really, really. There is a lot going on in that.
And
For sure.
What engineer? Okay, what's the degree that the engineer who came up with this has? I'm just curious.
You gotta wonder. They're tech guys, And we actually had a training by one of the inventors, of like, okay, you do this, you do that with it, and everything like that. And he told me what else they're working on, which is really exciting, and things. And yeah, it's pretty. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I like it
Twerking
because a lot of
Butt.
times you look at stuff and you go, okay, it's a masturbator. Or, we joke and say it's a loaf because, they come in big boxes. We could come in, but I'm like, I hadn't, even yesterday, it was towards the end of the day, she's like, no, Tara's like, no, it does this. And then I said, oh, the goggles went with it. I mean, right over my head, just completely and utterly, missed it. But I was
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. And at Anme, because I'm always a jokester because I love this stuff. And it is really hysterical when you come down with it. So I came up with this at Anme and showed my stuff. I'm like, what is this? I said it's a lesbian with a twerking butt. Like that. I'm squeezing my cheeks and trying to get them in there. And what was really funny, because I did this for my own personal entertainment, but also because I really needed to do this, is I went through this with TSA flying here.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is on my carry-on luggage.
Yeah, it is.
How'd
It's-
that
it's
go?
in a backpack.
It was in a backpack. And so I'm like, I didn't want to declare it because I didn't know what to say. And I've flown with sex toys before, but this one's like over-the-top sex toys. So I was like, okay, what do I say? Okay. I'm just going to put it through. So I had the backpack and it was zipped shut. And I'm like looking at the TSA guy and I could see his face get like all sorts of funny, twisted, looking at the screen like, what the hell is
Is it a
that?
butt bomb?
Like he's looking and he's looking like for a coworker or supervisor and he's looking
me.
back and I knew my bag was in that x-ray vision, right? So he's like looking and then he's kind of like, I could just read him and I'm trying to make eye contact with him like, that's fine, and stuff. It's not that 20-year-old guy there. It's me, that 57-year-old woman. Right? Okay. So then he gets like another coworker there and then the coworker's kind of looking at it and she's young too and she's looking at it and they're like this and then I'm like, so they're like, okay. So then it goes through and I come out and she's like, do you have a turkey in here?
A twerky?
Twerky.
It's a twerky.
Oh, I know
totally
what I can see that. Yeah. No, I have it. The last time that I traveled with anything that it was long before they X-rayed the bags, as per se like that. And I traveled with two companies that doesn't even exist anymore. But you probably remember United Sales, and they used to have before stuff got really expensive. Before oil went, the really really large dildos, the double dildos, and the stuff like that was about the size of your arm.
Right.
I traveled with those down to my brother's fraternity when he was going to school in New Orleans,
Nice.
and I had them in my bag. And I'm like, oh, please check. Please check. Those were two women with two massive dildos
That's it.
traveling down to New Orleans.
It's like you
during
want them to
spring
check
break.
just
And
to
I'm
see what
just
the
like,
reaction
because I'm
is.
like, oh, there you go. I just, because I grabbed them, I threw them in my bag. And we went, and
Right.
it was just, and they were arm size. I'm not kidding. These are definitely novelty items.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were that big.
But we still sell them.
They still sell them. Oh yeah, they
I
sell.
know.
Yeah, but now they cost wholesale what we used to sell them for because the materials have just become
For sure.
expensive.
Yeah, it was fun when I said, actually, it's a twerking butt. And one of the girls slapped another guy and goes, I told you it was a butt. Because you could see it was shaped like a butt.
Nobody wanted to say it out loud.
Nobody wanted to say
No,
it.
and then she's like, you should have said something before. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know what to say. This is the first time I'm traveling. What do I say? What should I do? 'Cause
Did
it's
they
like,
give you
be
any
nice to TSA? And she's like, well, next time open your bag and open it a little bit so that they can see that there's something mechanical in there. And then she says, kind of let them know. But it's funny because, like, what do you say? Oh, I got something that looks like a bomb.
Yeah, I could see how that could be.
I have a
It
very-
totally
yeah.
looks like, because there's a lot of mechanical
bet.
stuff in there. So I'm just going to say there's a mechanical device in there. So I just want to make you aware of it.
That's
and
probably-
that's it. And leave it at that and let them just watch their face again. It's so much fun.
I'm sad because they're gonna here at the studio. Our studio time is running out here, and Kim, I mean, there's no way. The next time you come back, we're gonna have to dive into your sex classes, and all of that. I mean, I knew it. I didn't get to I got to I think one question, and then off we went. We didn't even get to do the news, but I will tell
Believe
you.
me, people will be naked in Florida next week too.
Okay, this will keep. It's not like what the stock market did yesterday, so it'll
No,
hold.
well,
So I'll
yeah.
just save these for next week.
No, but it's going up.
Yeah, this
is
is what's
good.
we like. So Kim, how often do you get to Minnesota about?
Oh, we're going to work on that. Hopefully a couple times a year.
Okay.
3 times.
And
About,
it's
should work on it.
Just automatically you're booked. Is that fair?
thanks.
You are
That's totally
absolutely
fair. I
booked.
love it.
It's
I
nice
love
to
it.
talk to someone that knows exactly how how it is to get insurance. I mean, not everything else, but just
Totally.
with the stuff that people don't think about.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
But I have to admit, I've not gone through TSA with the large twerking ass.
You will soon. You will soon. Okay, we'll get Tara right on that.
Tara, is that going to be something fun for you, or
I'll do it. I'll do it if I have to. I'll do
Yeah.
one for the team.
the best? One of my favorite things about the the employee seminars when you had scores of reps coming in June, and I got to sit down with all the wholesale people. Colleen, you were out of town. It was the best part of it was hearing all their travel stories with their samples.
It's amazing.
It's the best.
I love it.
Absolutely. KimAyers.com. It's KimAyers.com. And Colleen Bertino and Kelly Guest will be back with you next week. And Kim, as soon as we can possibly get you. Coming soon. She's probably coming right now. Mrs. Sin. I've been texted. So our favorite swingers coming back here pretty soon.
Nice.
Great.
So have a great week, everybody.